Welcome back to I'm Still Here. I'm Heather.
And I'm Ty.
In 1998, at the age of 26, I was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer. It changed everything for me and my family, but I'm still here. And to almost finish out our season, Ty is joining us. So I kind of think this is a good way to go, because I feel like you joining our family was kind of like putting a little bit of a bow on cancer in some ways. So
Yeah.
I totally don't believe that cancer's a gift or any of that kind of bullshit. But I do think that good things sometimes come from tough things, right?
For sure.
So
That'd be me.
what? So why don't you tell people who you are?
I am Ty Jose, currently 22, about to be 23 next month. I was adopted from India at a very young age. I was a baby. About a year and a half when I got adopted.
Yeah, you were 18 months old when you came home.
A little bit over a year and a half. Yeah, I could have lived a very different life than I got to live so far. The story is that I was found at a train station on the ground, wrapped in a blanket. Sounds like a movie, but that's
In what city?
in Pune, India.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's like 30 minutes from Mumbai,
It's east.
east of Mumbai.
Yep.
I don't recall anything from being there. Obviously, I was super young, but there are some pictures, etc.
Mm-hmm. You were about a month old when you were found.
Yeah. So, I lived in an orphanage for a while. For most of my time there, I lived in an orphanage.
Mm-hmm.
And then they came and scooped me out of India and
Yeah.
took me to the middle of Michigan.
Yeah. So let me just talk about that process a little bit. We kind of started the whole adoption process by Dad and I agreeing that we wanted to add to our family, but he was a little bit nervous about it, which now that, after many, many years of living with him, we understand that he gets a little nervous about things he doesn't know about, right?
For sure.
But I started out by actually kind of sending out something to a bunch of adoption agencies asking if they would work with somebody who had breast cancer. And I got a couple of different responses back, but I got one in particular that was an email that said, "Would you consider adopting a baby boy from India?" And I was like, well, yeah, why not? Sure. And at the time, it was 2001 when we started this process, and Ty was actually born in January of 2001, and that was the month that we really kind of started this process. So I think that's pretty cool that that's how that happened. But at the time, countries that were kind of popular to adopt from would have been like Guatemala, Haiti, Russia, China, places like that. And I didn't know India in terms of why that would be. But as soon as I started this correspondence with this adoption agency, which was in Seattle, about India, it was just really something that I was like, yeah, this is great. This is the right fit for us.
Yeah.
And as we started the process, we kind of you got to do all of these things. You got to get a home study, and you got to prove that you can financially do this and all of this stuff. And now that I look back at that, I think they asked some of the right questions, but also none of the right questions in terms of, do you have any idea what the impact is going to be? Because if you're watching on YouTube, Ty is clearly not the same color as we are, right?
No.
And I don't feel like we were prepared to maybe help you through some of the challenges of being Indian in a community that is all white.
Yeah.
And not even particularly educated. So I think some of that stuff was, we just weren't prepared. But story goes, actually, so we were getting all of our paperwork around. The adoption agency actually had ties with an orphanage in southern India And because of like corruption, they shut down all adoptions in southern India. The whole part of, I don't even know what state that is, but it wasn't Pune. And so our adoption agency kind of scrambled to to have relations with another orphanage in India. And that's when they found Ty's orphanage. And shortly after that, I think they had already kind of established those relations, and then 9/11 happened, which
that almost affected it, right?
Well, it changed the world overnight. The fact that and actually then India and Pakistan, who are neighbors and who have had conflict over the years or whatever, but they kind of went to war. Like all of these things, it just felt so unstable. And I remember we had a person in our lives who just said, maybe it's just not meant to be. And I was like...
Who was that?
We'll talk about that later. But I was just like, I refuse to accept that. I mean, I refuse to accept that. That we have worked this hard and we've gotten this far, and I just refuse to accept that. So in January of 2002, we got a picture and kind of a little, when at least at the time, like you get so little information about this child. So we got a picture of Ty at 1, and he was sitting on a big folding chair. And
is that the picture that?
Yeah.
That's what they sent you?
Yeah. And he looked cute. He's got his curls, like he's got his curls now. He was just sitting there, and basically they kind of said, this is his age. This is what we know, which is very little. And do you think this is the one? And then they did send us a little, it was a VHS tape at the time of Ty. And he would have been about a year old. And he was kind of doing like a bear crawl, where his hands were on the ground and his legs, he wasn't crawling like on his knees. And I remember showing it to my older brother, who's a doctor, and we were all kind of like sort of healthcare people kind of analyzing it. And we're like, is there something wrong with his hips? Is there a problem? What I realized, though, after looking at it, was like, no, he is trying to crawl on really like on a dirt surface with rocks. So we're keeping your knees up because it hurts.
Still would hurt me.
Still. So we realized, okay. But that's all we really had. And we said yes. That we were super excited about it. That was January. And then it took until the summer for everything to go through. And when they said, okay, actually I was doing a 3-day walk in Chicago that summer to celebrate my 30th birthday. And I was walking into Chicago, like to finish this walk, and it was also Father's Day. So it was my birthday and Father's Day, and they called to say that you were going to get to join our family. So that awesome. It was really close to happening. Yeah. And that was such a cool thing. And then maybe a little over a month later, they said, okay, everything is ready. You can either wait for one of us to fly him home, or you guys can fly over and get him. So, yeah, my mom and I flew to you. And
I know all of that part because it's just the picture books that we have, but
yeah,
I didn't know some of the other stuff there.
Yeah, it was quite a process.
Yeah, that's crazy how that works.
Yeah. So when Ty first came home, he was scared of men. He was not ever around men. India definitely understood that a primary caregiver was a good thing, so he had learned to kind of form relationships, but they were all with women. So the only men he had seen in his life was there was a retired colonel that was kind of over the orphanage. He would be like a grandpa figure, but also the pediatrician was a man. So when he got home, he spent a lot of time glued to my hip, and he was okay with Sydney too. Sid was almost 5 at the time. So I was wondering, when I think about adoption, the first thing usually when I talk about adoption, people will say things to me like, "Oh, he's so lucky," and I hate that.
Lucky.
Like you're so because what the assumption is that we are a great family and there are no like the fact that you were
able to escape kind of
right was able to join be a part of our family made you really lucky. And I always just go, no, like we're the lucky ones. We're the ones who sought this out and we wanted this relationship and we're not the one, like we're so grateful to have it. And especially for as hard as the process was, I think to be able to have somebody say like, oh, you scooped a kid up and brought him home. And also I think it disregards the fact that there's a tremendous amount of loss that happens before adoption.
Yeah.
And that's the loss of your bio parents, right? Like you didn't get the chance to.
Yeah, I've never met them. I don't even know what they look like or anything. I've never seen a photo, so.
Right. We have no information.
Yeah.
We've, done the ancestry DNA and maybe someday something will match something. But I think sometimes when we talk about adoption, we forget about the loss that precedes it. Yeah. And even though you're young, just like there's a book called The Body Keeps the Score, like your body remembers loss. Your body remembers trauma, and I think, and we were just talking about this not that long ago about how you said you can see in the pictures, like in your eyes, like of some of the pictures when you're young, that you just look a little scared.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I'm sure my life was, as a baby, just very different than other regular people who were born with their parents. I'm sure there was a lot of moving around and new faces. A lot of
well, and faces. Just that insecurity, right? That I don't know what's going to happen next because this is a huge loss.
Which still, like you said earlier, it does lead into my current life. I'm still like... Yeah, I don't like new at all.
No.
I'm not. I don't like to go into things blind. I don't like...
You need time to prepare for things.
Yeah, I can't prepare for anything, like...
Yeah.
Versus whether that's saying goodbye to someone, going somewhere else, anything. I have serious trouble with that.
Yeah. And what...
I don't know why.
And again, just going back to, I think it's attachment type of things, but even going back to when you were a kid, when you were young, and we laughed about it at the time, but it's because we weren't educated enough to know about it. But like, there was a time that we dropped the dogs off at the kennel to go to Florida.
Yeah,
and
I would cry every time.
Oh my gosh, he just bawled, like beyond what, we're just like, yeah, it's kind of sad, but they'll be fine. You know what I mean? But for you, that stuff just hit harder.
Yeah.
So... all of those things, again, like, hey, we should have been worried about this kind of stuff. We should have been worried about how that would affect you. And the thing is with Ty is that he was always, like, even-keeled. You're not a kid who ever got upset. You pretty much rolled with things. So it wasn't like you were in distress, necessarily.
Yeah.
You were just kind of, would go with the flow of things. But I think it definitely affected you.
For sure.
So let's talk about a little bit about, like, when do you remember feeling, I don't know if difference is a word. Are there times when you looked around and went, how did I get here? Or why, nobody looks like me?
I mean, I don't think it was like a day where I just realized, like, well, I'm different than everyone. But I think as I grew up, I definitely just started to notice. And I knew I was adopted. It's not. I don't.
Right.
Someone asked me that not that long ago when you guys told me when I was adopted. I was like, I don't think they ever.
There's never a day,
me.
Right?
I think I kind of just figured out.
Well, we knew. I mean, we of course that's not something we were trying to hide, and of course we couldn't hide.
But I'm just saying, it's like I don't even remember like when I realized or whatever. But I was there was never. There was like maybe a couple black kids growing up here and there, but there was never like I was mainly like the only one that was darker than all my white friends, especially where we're from, such a rural area.
Did that bother you?
I don't think so.
Okay.
No, I don't think it did bother me. I mean, I'm sure there was some things that I was different than others in or whatever, but I don't think it ever bothered me because I got along with mostly everyone pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had close friends since I was young, so I mean, like I was never like left out of anything.
Yeah.
I was never.
Yeah, I don't think it's...
I was always a part of all the action, always. Like,
yeah. I don't think it's ever affected, like, your friendships or your ability to make friends.
No.
It's
I mean,
not-
I definitely had friends that would... I still have friends that make fun of me, but
Yeah.
that's just part of the world we live in. I mean, I don't take it to heart or anything, like the race jokes or whatever. I mean, that's just kind of how life is, but...
Yeah. If you spent all your time being angry about that...
Yeah.
probably be-
I mean, I have dealt with, in school, like, being younger for sure, more like people being actually racist to me or whatever,
Yeah.
or trying to be.
Yeah.
But it never really bothered me. I would probably just go tell on them.
Okay.
I think one kid once, like, said something racist to me, so I just told on him.
Yeah.
I was such a tattletale. But, no, I never was, like... I wouldn't get left out of things, or...
Yeah.
I don't think my race held me back from anything growing up
That's
at
good.
all.
Yeah.
If anything, it benefited.
Yeah.
Because I think that being different is good.
I
And it
think...
benefited the kids around me, too, because they were able to
Yeah, you're the token.
experience that. Like, I'm sure that they look at race differently because of
I hope so.
me, and we had... I'm sure that I've impacted other people's lives just by being around them. How they look at people of color or people of a different nationality.
Mm-hmm.
Just because they know me and they got
They
to know
realize
someone
we're all
like
just
that.
people.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
are all just people.
Yeah. I mean, it's good to hear. I think our community definitely embraced you, and I think our community has, there's not a lot of diversity, but what there is, it's very accepting of that.
Right.
I think what's more challenging is to watch when people don't know you.
Yeah.
And I remember from a pretty early age from you, I remember like things like walking around, even a gas station or something like that. I just feel like more eyes were on you.
Oh, I still.
You feel that a lot.
I get eyes in public like
Yeah.
crazy. I don't know if it's. I don't know why, because I don't look. I don't think I'm very intimidating of a person, but I do notice that when I'm in public, people are looking at me.
Yeah.
All the time.
And I would realize too, even when you were young, when you would walk in ahead of me, and maybe you'd be 15 feet ahead of me, so somebody would see you first,
Yeah.
and then once they made the association that I was with you, it backed off.
Right.
Like everything was okay, and that's
Which is fine. I mean, where we live, there's not much education. There's not. A lot of people don't. They're not used to seeing somebody like that, I guess.
I know, but it's
don't know how to word
it just
it.
makes me. It makes
I mean,
me,
right now in Mount Pleasant, there are 2 million Indian people. The whole entire town of Mount Pleasant is Indian people. So now I don't
because
stand
the
out.
university has done a great job of
Yeah, the university's
recruiting-
diversity is
Well, they've recruited a lot of
straight out of India.
yes.
But
But
around
also-
here, like
But even with
the
that,
smaller towns.
it's not like you feel comfortable or fit in with
No, I don't. I'm not
Indian
saying
people, people who are Indian.
I always tell people that I'm an Indian white kid because I am
that you're a white kid in a
in an Indian person's
body.
complexion because
Yeah,
my culture, I have for sure have white culture.
yeah,
All my friends are mostly white. I do things that the white culture originate. Like I grew up in a white area, so that's
Yeah.
that's what I know.
yeah.
And I have some of my closest friends are black kids,
Yep.
but they are also white.
They also were raised in this area,
They were
so
also
they're very
from the
used
same
to
area. So
yes,
we're
being
all
in,
just
yeah. But that again to me goes back to we're all people first,
at
and
the
so
end of the day, for sure.
that's what we forget about, I think. And I mean, I've realized I can't say I'm not biased. I'm biased. I know I am. But what I try to remember is, wait a second, that first response isn't necessarily correct.
Right.
Yeah. And so I need to give everybody a benefit of a doubt, and not even just that, but make an effort, to build bridges, right?
For sure.
So let's talk a little bit about, so elementary school is pretty normal. Middle school, what's the,
Well, it was normal. I mean, I moved from I went to 2 different elementary schools,
Yeah.
but I fit in.
by the
great
time
at
you
both.
got to middle
I
school,
think
you
going
knew
to
all
2
the
different
kids.
elementary schools benefited me because
Right.
I met all the kids at Wademan,
Mm-hmm.
and then I went to Mecosta, met all the kids there, and then when we all joined in 5th grade, I knew
Everybody.
both sides, so
Yeah.
it was like I knew everybody. So yeah, it did benefit me. I was always kind of in the community's eye, I guess,
Yeah.
because of Dad. I mean, him being the head football coach, and I was always with him.
Yeah. You were
I
on the
was always on the
sidelines. from the
sidelines.
time you were
Everybody
little.
saw me. Everyone recognized me.
Right.
So from a young age, I definitely wasn't in the shadows. I was
Yeah.
with Dad, and he was not in the shadows either. So I think that benefited me as well, because I was just well known, which
Yeah. So I think all
Yeah.
middle school and even high school was pretty normal,
yeah,
right?
had a lot of fun.
Had a lot of fun. But then we got to be thinking about graduating.
Yeah. that
And
was
what
fun.
happened? What would you say?
After graduation?
Well, I mean, even I think your senior year, thinking about what came next.
Yeah, I didn't really know what I wanted to do at all, really. I hadn't really thought ahead like that. So then I initially went to school to be a pilot up in Traverse City. And that did not work out because I was young and dumb. And if you want to be a pilot, you better make sure you're ready to do it. So I dropped out of college. And then I moved back home. And life kind of just went downhill even more from there.
Yeah. So I will say you started college in September of 2019. You moved back home fairly quickly after that, October, November.
Mhm.
And then you're sort of working, sort of not working, sort of figuring things out.
Right.
And then you start taking a few classes the following semester, and then COVID hits.
Yeah, so I was taking classes at mid, and I was actually doing well in all my classes, and then COVID did hit, and all the classes switched online, and my 2 best friends at the time were living with me in the basement, and I don't know about you, but try taking online classes with 2 of your best friends basically living
They were
with
not
you
taking classes.
and having nothing else to do. We just played a lot of Call of Duty, and I think I failed out of all of my classes, and I just didn't really have much discipline. I didn't care at all about
What was your
much.
mental state like?
I mean, during that time, it was probably pretty decent
Okay.
when they were living here. After a while, though, I think after my friend group kind of split up, and then that's when I think initially it started to go downhill a little bit. And then I'm trying to put a timeline on all this.
So the next the next year for sure, from the time you left school, then you did mid, you didn't finish that, and then for the next over a year, you sometimes had a job, sometimes didn't have a job. Ty's room is in the basement, which is, for a kid who likes security, it's great, but for a kid who tends towards depression at times, it's terrible because there's not a lot of sunlight down there.
No windows.
So, it is safe though. He can get
My
out.
room is sweet, but there's no windows. And yeah, it is up to code. But yeah, I spent a lot of time. I think that the depression and stuff really started after the breakup. That's when it really went bad. But
So
I don't
again, it just, there's been some things that attachment is a huge issue.
yeah,
And sometimes jumping all the way in, and then even if you know that it's not.
yeah. I think I blame myself for a lot of it. My friends and I split up, and then my girlfriend and I also split up.
Mm-hmm.
And those were hard for me. Both of them were. I definitely was down in a pit of mental state, and I drank a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't do much. I didn't have a good job. I think I was working at the bank.
Mm-hmm. And
At
they were
that
very
time,
good to you at that.
They were
point.
good to me at the bank, at Isabel Bank, but I didn't make a bunch of money. I had money, but I spent most of it in Vegas, and that's when I really was getting seriously depressed.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when suicidal thoughts were coming, etc. Trying to kill myself, whatever. That stuff was bad. But that lasted on and off for about 2 years, I would say. It was from the summer of
2020.
2020 till about last year at this time.
Yeah.
Which is, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I was telling the story the other day that a year ago, from this month, a year ago, is when I woke up in a ditch because I overdosed on my medication.
Mm-hmm.
And I woke up in the ditch having a seizure. And
there's probably other components to that.
Well,
and also, you don't have to share that, but
I did.
But also, medication wasn't something that you faithfully used either.
No, but I think I definitely overtook my medicine.
Yeah.
I took too many pills, probably on purpose.
Yeah.
With the intent that I was trying to kill myself. And I do remember after taking the pills, I remember thinking, that's going to kill me. I never told anyone that, but I do remember saying, this is going to kill me.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't hit me for probably 4 hours, but I went out with my buddy and did some other stuff, and then, I spent the next 2 days hallucinating and seizing and whatever. But that was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't stop me. That still was pretty... For the next couple of weeks that, I was still off the rails.
Yeah. So then you have a life event. It's a pretty big one. We don't need to talk about that a whole lot, but you kind of get scared like you've never been scared before, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah, something did happen after that. I probably won't talk about that.
Yeah, that's fine. But no, here's what I'm trying to get to is there's this...
I hit a complete bottom.
A complete bottom, which we had been trying for... this is a scary thing as a parent, is that my whole goal is to keep you from hitting the bottom.
Yeah.
Right? To keep you from that. And the stress of that was...
I don't think that you were able to, though. Not at that time.
And I realized that, but also I've been through, depression and suicide with other people.
Yeah.
But but this is different. You're my son. And I realized I could look at you and know, no, he's not okay. Yeah. And this is what I've learned. Depression, I feel like sometimes you should be the most scared when somebody's trying the most to tell you they're okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
when I was super depressed and everyone, when you guys finally did try to get me help or whatever, I think I kind of, just bullshitted my way through it, and I didn't really care to get help.
Yeah.
And that's the problem with people that have depression is they will tell you that they don't want help, even though you might know they need it, and they might know it too, but they will 100% try to get away from any sort of help.
Yeah.
Which is not what you should do at all.
But but it's so true. It's like you can tell people that, but they're not listening. You weren't listening.
I wasn't listening to anyone. But no, I eventually did hit a hard rock bottom. Like,
Yeah.
there was an event that happened, and it scared the crap out of me,
Mhm.
and it scared a lot of people in my life that knew about it at the time. I didn't tell them for X amount of months until after, but it changed my life and opened my eyes, and I realized that if I keep living the way I'm going to live,
The
I'm
way you
going to
were
die.
living.
Yeah, if I keep living the way that I was currently living, I wasn't living in this house, I was living in Mount Pleasant at my own apartment. I realized I'm going to be in jail, I'm going to die, someone else is going to die, and that's not the path that I want to take. So, yeah, I made a change. I told myself something needs to change.
Yeah. So here's the things that I don't know the answer to. Like, how does a kid go from... I do think that there are times in people's lives where, like, they get depressed and then they come out of it. I've seen it. We've had a lot of teenagers, young 20s live with us, right? We've been through this many. So I understand that it can be a low point.
Right.
Right? And I've also seen them flourish now that they're in their 30s and things like that. So I've seen that that it can be kind of a period of time and people can change.
Yeah.
But the crazy thing to me is, like, what change? Like, does your brain just kind of click on in terms of the chemicals you need? Like, and are you able to focus then? Because, like, Ty, your whole... Like, even if people were to go back, because you were on the podcast about a year and a half, I don't know, early on when we started it, you were on it. If
Was
they
I?
were, yes, with Dad and I both.
Oh, yeah.
And I bet if they were to listen to you then and listen to you now, like, you were so much flatter then. Like, you were going through the motions, you know? But now, you're living life. Like, you are...
I would
right?
say I've been consistently happy since last spring in March. I have not had I've had a day where I was, like, probably drowsy or whatever, but
He still likes to sleep.
I love to sleep, but I have been consistently happy, like,
Yeah.
just steady. And there's days I'm happier, and there's things that make me happier, and then you go back down. But when I go down now, I go back down to to an even
keel.
level.
Like, you don't dive.
I don't go under anymore, and
Yeah.
if I catch myself going under, then I will instantly find something to do. I'll go work out, whatever it is. But,
So you'll turn to good habits.
yeah,
Versus...
I think that right now my habits and my mental state is almost unbreakable unless something tragic happens.
Yeah.
I think right now I'm solid.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not on medication. I'm not on anything.
I still try to get you to go to therapy, but...
No.
Someday.
I mean, I'll tell you what it is for me, and I'm not
Yeah.
trying to turn this religious or anything, but for me it was finding God, truly. That's what it was.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I did. And I go to church, and I have a good community at church.
Mm-hmm.
And my best friend is very involved in our church, and he kind of keeps me in check here and there. And I made my best friends now through the church. And I don't know. I just feel like God, he holds me accountable versus other things. So,
Do you also feel like some of the weight of the world maybe is off your shoulders in that respect?
for sure, yeah.
Because I think before, one of the
I
things...
felt a lot of pressure, and I felt a lot, not from you guys, but I just felt I would compare myself to others. I was always, oh, well, he's got this, they've got this, they're doing this, blah, blah, blah. Where am I at? Well, no, I'm a nobody. I know I'm a loser. And I realized that's not how it is, and that's not how it has to be.
Yeah, and not only that, but also, like, if something's going to happen, I'm going to make it happen.
Yeah.
You know, which is, I mean, of course, we have to play a part in that stuff, but it doesn't mean that there's not other factors involved.
And I'm not anywhere near where I could be or should be, but my sister actually made the point the other night to me, because we were talking about where I am now versus where I was a year ago.
Yeah.
And as I said, a year ago, I woke up in the ditch.
Yeah.
And now I'm content with my job. I have good friends who love me, and I love them. I have a good relationship with my mom and dad. My sister and I, we have a great relationship. Just another village of people outside of my initial friends. Like, I have just a lot of good people in my life, and I love myself, and I think that alone is very powerful. So
Yeah. And I think what I've learned is that, like, I mean, again, good can come from bad, right?
Yeah.
I know that you had to live this. I know that there wasn't, you showed me there was not going to be another way. We couldn't will you to not go through some of the stuff that happened.
yeah,
I don't think
well, this is what I always tell people. Yeah, I went through a lot of crappy situations, and I was doing a lot of bad things, and a lot of bad things happened to me, but I'm actually thankful for those because if that stuff never would have happened to me, I honestly think that I'd still probably be doing it.
yeah.
If something
Yeah.
like that never happened, if
Yeah.
my life never hit the bottom, then I think that I would still just be in the same wavelength.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful that I'm not,
Yeah.
because I view life differently now, and my values and my morals are different.
Yeah.
And
This has been the first time that you are, I think, honestly happy being you.
yeah, for sure.
There's no dependence on other people in the same way. It's so exciting for us to see. It's so nice. You don't know how many times we've been like, oh, we have him back. Because it is like that kid who, who would smile and laugh and have fun with things. And just,
Trust me, I know how.
Yeah.
I don't know how it feels being a parent and having someone like me,
Yeah.
but I could only imagine. And I'm sorry, because I was not fun to be around. I didn't talk much. I didn't talk to you guys.
Yeah.
I actually feel bad about that too.
Good thing we're tough.
Yeah.
Good thing we've been through a little stuff before.
And there's still times where I come around and I'm just like, I don't talk much. Sometimes I just don't want to talk to people.
Yeah.
But I mean,
I don't expect you to talk.
I wouldn't even.
Yeah.
I was living in your house and just.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
When I lived 20 minutes from you guys for a year, I didn't talk to you much unless
Yeah.
I needed something. And that's just, I feel bad about that. But
I don't care now that it's over.
yeah.
You know what I mean? I just am happy that you're healthy. And what do you think the future might be? Does the future still scare you?
For sure.
Okay.
I mean, right now I don't know. I'm stuck between a couple things. Like,
Yeah.
I work in a school and I love it. So,
Yeah.
I mean, and I coached varsity and JV football this last season. And I also fell in love with that. And I don't know. Do I want to follow in my dad's footsteps and be a teacher and a football coach? Or do I still want to venture out and be a pilot? I couldn't tell you. I wish I knew.
Do you feel
But-
like there's an urgency to figure it out, or do you feel like you're just learning along the way and you will?
I don't know. I'm kind of just. I'm giving it some time
Yeah.
to really think about what I want to do. And I think I'm kind of weighing, because my job right now, I get to be firsthand in classrooms with high school students, and I am in a school setting all day at
Mhm.
work, and I love it. So I'm trying to see if that's what I want to do. I don't know.
Hmm.
My only conflict with that is the pay. I mean,
Yeah.
if I could go be a pilot and less schooling and make triple what teachers make, and I don't know. It depends on the lifestyle I want. It depends on how this school year finishes out.
Hmm.
And I think I'll make a decision within the next year or so, but I like to say that I'm still young.
You
So
are.
I think that I still have some time to figure it out.
Well, I think
obviously it's later than some others. I mean,
have you ever?
who cares?
It's like I actually was just telling. It's like a bag of popcorn. You throw it in the microwave.
Yeah.
One pops first. One pops last. It doesn't matter. You know what I
Popcorn will
mean?
still be popcorn.
Popcorn's still popcorn.
And sometimes the half-popped ones are even better.
Well,
Personally.
yeah. But you know what I mean? I think the pressure, I think one thing that you've taught me is just like the pressure to be on somebody else's timeline doesn't work, right?
Yeah.
And the other thing is that you do have to, I'll give you, I've always said I'll give you some grace for being adopted and not spending the first 18 months with us. And then I was like, okay, maybe we'll double that and blah, blah, blah. But the other thing is there's been a pandemic.
Yeah.
You know, and the pandemic didn't accelerate
our
things.
economy at all,
It didn't
really,
accelerate things. And I think too, I mean, just there's a lot of anxiety around going to school because it's so expensive. You know, we can't write the check for that. So I think I wish there was some way to alleviate that pressure. I know I'm confident that you're gonna be fine. You're gonna, even if you went to school to be a teacher and you taught for 10 years and you didn't end up being a teacher, that's okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I just feel like it's really hard when you're taking on debt for either of those careers.
Well, I just know with me and my previous experience, if I'm not 100% about one of these two options,
yeah,
and I go into it and I'm like, I
yeah,
made the wrong decision,
yeah,
then there's nothing, A, that's going to change my mind about it,
yeah,
and B, financially, I'm not going to want to put myself in that situation.
yeah.
So if I do choose a career path, that's kind of why I am going to wait a little longer and try to really make sure.
I have no problem with that. I just hope that you also, and I think you do, have the confidence to bet on yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When you do make that decision, know that you can do it. Because there's no doubt that you can. And
Well, I don't think it's if I can do it anymore. It's
Okay.
going to be if I want to do it.
yeah,
Is this what I want to do
Yeah.
for the next X amount of years? Do I want to be in a school every day? Or, you know, and
yeah,
is that something I want to do? Or do I want to travel the world and fly planes, which sounds pretty fun.
yeah,
But I know the lifestyles are different.
Yes, they
and
are.
I know that, I don't know.
yeah.
It's just stuff I have to figure out still. And
And I guess the other thing though, like with that is also, you know, I mean, maybe at some point you're sharing your story in other ways, and
I mean, in music too. That's
yeah. Let's talk about your music real
That's
quick
something I
before
wanna-
wrap up.
That's really what I want to do.
Yeah,
But that's not something that you can just. That's a little bit of a far-fetched dream, kind of. But I do still work on it, and I'm not gonna stop.
yeah,
And I'm gonna continue dropping music because honestly, in today's day and age, you never know.
yeah.
So,
What comes out of all of those things, I think music comes the easiest to you.
music
Like,
is the way for the music is how I get weight off my chest.
how
as
you
well.
express yourself.
It's how I express myself, and I've built over these last 3 years. I've been making music. I've built a fan base. I have consistent listeners. I mean, I was 20 people's top 10 artists on Spotify this last year, and I don't really even promote my Spotify, and that just like stuff like that. Like I know that people do listen to my music.
Mm-hmm.
I know that my music has helped people,
Mm-hmm.
and that alone makes me want to continue, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to. And who knows? You never
Yeah.
know. Maybe one day.
How do
something
people find
happens.
your music?
It is Sanjay on all music platforms: Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Type in Sanjay, and then we can probably link the.
We'll link it. Lauren will
We'll
link
put my
it.
link tree in the description, but
Yeah. Why is it Sanjay?
that was the name that I had when I was in India. I had a reason for why I named it Sanjay. I don't know quite
Yeah.
why, but that's what was my name in India. But there was some meaning behind it somehow.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I think it's cool. Other than my actual name, it's a way to use them both.
Yeah.
I can
like
be
it.
Ty in the real world, and
Sanjay on
Sanjay's
the stage.
the little
in the music world.
the life that we.
I
know.
like it. I think it's a kind of a tip of the hat to where you came from, and we don't try to hide anything about all of that stuff. I mean, and you know, we would have kept a name that we knew was given to you by a biological parent, but
No, I
it
love my
just-
new name, Ty.
so
No, I use Sanjay just because it's cool. It's another name. It's a way to bring it into my life. I
Yeah.
mean, everyone knows that my music name is Sanjay, so it's kind of cool, like you said, to tip your hat or honor that and respect it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
All right. Well, we've kept people for longer than we usually do, but this is a good way to end our season 1. And
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
yeah, anything you would tell parents of adopted kids? Do you think you can speak for all kids who are adopted?
I don't know. I mean, I would just say parents in general,
Yeah.
just try to cut some slack.
Give
on
some
your kids.
grace. I was going to say the same
Cut
thing.
some
Give
slack
some
and give some
grace.
grace, because especially our age of kids, life is a lot harder for us right now, because everything's really expensive and the mental health numbers are skyrocketing.
Mhm.
And
What would you say about mental health? Would it have been, should we have addressed it earlier? What could we have done differently, do you think?
you guys, as versus
Yeah.
in my situation, nothing. Or you wouldn't have known. Like, I was depressed for a long time, and I probably had.
Well, I think we did know some, but we couldn't, we didn't feel like we
Well,
could
even if you were trying to
unlock it.
confront, like, they always say when someone looks mad, don't ever ask them if they're mad, because that only makes them more mad.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. And if you have someone in your life who you think might be, or if you are,
Mm-hmm.
then I think the best thing to do is, yeah, I guess try to talk to them about it, or if you need help, get help, seriously, because it will, I promise you, it will change your life.
Mm-hmm.
And no
And
one
it doesn't
deserves,
have to come through a therapist. It
No.
might be a really good group that you're involved with. It's really about having a community that you
Your
know.
friends matter, because your
Yeah.
friends are who you
Yeah.
are. They will
Yeah.
shape you. And yeah,
Yeah.
no one deserves to feel like that at all.
Yeah.
So,
Do you worry about feeling like that again, or not really?
I don't.
Yeah.
Even with I have a friend leaving here soon, but
Yeah.
she's one of my really close friends. But I don't think so, because I have a solid base to resort back to.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and you're just not dipping down like you used to.
right. And I make smarter decisions now, and I can take care of myself.
Oh, and that frontal lobe is finally. Thank
3
God.
more years, 2 more years, and that thing will be developed.
You're gonna use every last day.
I will. Mine might
all right.
develop a little bit later.
That's fine. This is that's what I've learned as a parent, right? Like we are not.
I can't be serious about any situation, but
Yeah, that's fine. That's
I
how
just-
we get
my
through
sense of
it a little
humor
bit, right?
is-
There's a lot of sarcasm in this household. There always
Lots.
has been. So that's the way it is. Well, thanks so much, Ty, for
Yeah,
coming
thanks for
on,
having me on.
and we hope you all have a great little break and enjoy your family. Right?
yeah,
They
enjoy
look-
Christmas. It's the best time of the year.
That's right. All right. We'll see you.